Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from lots of things. So this particular episode I want to be posting on all my podcasts. So whether you're subscribed to one of my politics podcasts, subscribe to my coding podcast, subscribe to my podcasting podcast, subscribe to my motivation podcast, my blockchain podcast, or any of all the podcasts, you will get this episode. Because I think the message in this particular episode applies to everybody. It's about success. Okay? Generally, if you're listening to podcasts, you're seeking entertainment and knowledge. And if you're generally seeking entertainment and knowledge, part of it is that you hope that it can lead to greater success, a greater and richer experience in your life. So what we want to do is just talk about sort of the tips, the things I've learned in life about attaining success. Okay? I'm someone who's been in multiple industries, been able to develop a reputation in multiple industries, been able to, rise and fall and then rise again, take risks, and overall still be on my own 2 feet. And what are the things that I've learned along the way? First off, I want to just start off with the whole idea of always just developing your 4 cores. That is your developing relationships, making sure that you maintain your relationships with people, making sure you're constantly creating new connections with people, because that opens doors. 2, your health. Okay, the healthier you are, the more energy you're going to have, the more you're going to get done. Also, the longer you're going to live, so the more you can get done. All sorts of good things. So maintaining your health, your relationships, your skills, meaning the actual things you can do. So learning how to create things, learning how to fix things, learning how to execute. And your knowledge. Okay, one thing is understanding, let's say, a topic like being able to code. Another thing is really understanding what is code, the practice, the tradition, in a lot of the patterns that are in there, and really kind of understanding at a deep level. You want both of those, because knowledge is going to improve your skills, and skills are really going to help make the knowledge that you have something that you can use to provide value to others, because that's where success comes from, providing value to others. Okay, but again, the value you can provide are going to be a function of all those things: your health, your skills, your knowledge, and your relationships. Because again, relationships, people can connect not only you to opportunities, but allows you to connect others to opportunities. Your knowledge and your skills allows you to do things that other people need. Your health allows you to do all those other things, to have the stamina, the energy to constantly be learning, constantly be socializing, constantly just be living your best life. So that's the first thing. First things first. Okay? But also maintaining a schedule. Okay? Like, even if you're unemployed, you still got to treat every day like a work day. Okay? Meaning there's going to be a set time that you wake up, and you're going to do things that improve your cores during that time, whether it's 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever. Okay? Because your body is a creature of habit. If you feel like you are like if you feel you do things that you don't like that you do, like you're essentially, whether it's the way you think, if you find yourself being more pessimistic than you think you ought to be, if you think you are lazier than you think you ought to be, these are just habits you've picked up. They are habits you can change. It is not easy, but you want to create habits that lead you to being productive, meaning making a habit of positive thinking. And that's not something you just say, hey, I'm going to start thinking positively today, and you just start thinking positively today. You have to constantly kind of reinforce it, constantly sit there and say, hey, at this time, I'm going to take a moment, sit down with a piece of paper, sit down and think about the future in a positive way and the positive things that I can do today. Okay? You do that enough, it becomes your habit. Okay? And you are your habits. So you just have to think about what are the habits that you want, and set a time where you're going to reinforce those habits on a regular basis, ideally daily. Okay, you want to eat healthier? Okay, consciously set those dates. And again, these are things that I struggle with too. Okay, my particularly, like, I've been pretty good at maintaining and building relationships. I've been pretty good at skills and knowledge, but health, this has always been one of my weakest areas, where I'm a compulsive eater. I'm a stress eater. I enjoy all the worst foods, and have very little self-control when it comes to eating. And I've done things to help manage that. Whether it is, I have tried to build habits, things like intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has definitely sort of helped in saying, hey, there's a set time that I'm going to eat. Things that are structured have helped me kind of overcome those challenges, but there are always going to be areas where you're going to be able to overcome better than others. So again, easier said than done. Just because I say I'm giving you some advice and you're acting on it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, in this magical way where you get the exact results that you expect. But by trying, you're going to get better results than you would have by then not trying. Okay? And then again, the idea at the end of the day, what you're selling is yourself. Okay? Whether you are a freelancer looking for clients, whether you are a consultant looking for clients, whether you are someone who's looking to be employed by someone else, you are selling yourself. People they want to know that you have something to provide them, so you have to believe in it. So you have to have that positive thought where you believe in yourself. Believing in yourself requires two things: one, positive messaging to yourself, and two, actually having things to offer. It's much easier to feel good about yourself if you know you can do X, Y, and Z well. You know XYZ. You know that you can provide the value you believe you can give. And if you can't right now, if you feel like you're not where you want to be as far as what you can provide others, you don't have to be where you are right now. You continue to work on it. You continue to build. You continue to develop. But again, keep in mind, you are selling yourself. And just because you know what you can provide doesn't mean everybody else does, and you have to go out there and sell yourself. This is why things like social media are important. Not one, for building relationships and maintaining relationships, but two, for also crafting your image, crafting what you're selling. Okay, what you're trying to do is sell a very specific piece of yourself in any social media with that particular message. So again, I have like multiple sets of social media, whether it's coding, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever, but it all has a congruent message to establish the message of sort of the set of skills that I'm trying to broadcast with that particular set of social media. Okay, and I will interact with other people's social media, but it's mainly, again, always with the intention. You always have to think about everything you do on social media with what is the purpose. Okay, have your own personal Facebook where you just sit there and you comment on your friends' stuff and have fun and joke around and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you should have, if you have a public-facing Twitter or a public-facing Facebook page, what you post should have an intention of broadcasting your brand. So you should listen to my branding podcast to learn more about that. It should, even the comments that you make on other people's posts, everything should be with the intention of broadcasting your brand, because people can only think so many things about you. No one's ever going to know 100% of you, okay? And then the people that will get close aren't going to be the people who are looking to hire you. They're going to be looking for very specific things. So you want to tailor the parts of you that are going to make you the most compelling choice for providing value. Okay, but also, just again, you give what you get, or you get what you give. Okay, one of the things I remember hearing, something from Eben Pagan, where he was talking about getting the short end of the stick, and this has always kind of stuck with me. The idea is that for every $10 you give, want $1 back, meaning for every dollar you want to earn, you have to give $10 worth of value. Because hey, if you give $10 worth of value for every dollar you get paid, people are going to hire you and nonstop, because they feel like they're getting more than what they're giving you. Okay, at the end of the day, any transaction, both parties have to feel like they got something better than what they started with. Okay, in the sense that, hey, you had some time to work on something, and hey, you got money that you value more than the time you had to do stuff. So keep that in mind. Always be thinking about how am I making this a compelling deal? Because what happens is I'll meet people who think too hard about pricing from the regards that they want to make sure they have a certain amount of money in their pocket, but they're not necessarily focusing on, again, the person who decides to pay them, the client. What value are they providing? What are they getting? Okay, do they really need? Yes, you may be able to give them $10,000 worth of value for $1,000, but if they only want to spend $100, can you figure out a way to give them $1,000 of value for just $100? Okay, you don't want to give people more than they need, because then they can't afford it and you're out of the running. You don't want to give people less than they need, because then they won't pay for it. Okay, and this is one of the things about marketing. It's not just about, okay, what is the most value you can provide, but what is the right amount of value you can provide where you're providing a lot of value that you're willing to provide for the price that your customer is willing to pay, meaning what your employer is willing to pay. So, you go in there to a job that only needs someone who's entry like level, and then you sit there and you make an argument that you are like the best of the best and you have like 30 years worth of experience. The thing that's coming across the other person's head is, I can't afford you, and even if I hired you, the minute someone who can pay you what you deserve comes around, you're leaving. Okay, that's what they mean when they say you're overqualified. Okay, it's not that you won't work for what they're willing to pay you now, but the minute you don't have to, you won't. So I don't want to you spend that time training you and whatnot. So keep in mind, okay, you at the same time are on the same boat. You need to find the right mix where both parties feel pretty happy with sort of everything. So always focus on selling yourself, but also understand sort of how the consumer mind works, because everyone always thinking from that point of view. It's not just what can I get right now, but what is sort of like the longer term value proposition, especially in employment situations. And realize that compensation isn't just straight money. Okay, especially if you're negotiating for a job, you're negotiating income. Okay, think about things like training and upward mobility and future. Maybe they can't offer me the exact dollar amount that I want, but I'm able to negotiate them paying for training for this certification that will open up new doors, either within that company or in other companies down the road. Okay, these are our ways to sort of negotiate for something that again continues to let you grow. But yeah, I mean, those are sort of the main points I want to make. Again, always be focusing on your cores: skills, relationships, knowledge, health. Always be building the habits that you want to have. Okay, which means you just got to sit there and set a routine to do the things that you want to be in the routine of doing. And at first, it's more of an effort you have to put in because you're going against your habits. But eventually, it becomes your default. It becomes your default mindset. It becomes your default nature to work during certain times, to do certain tasks, and then it becomes easy. Okay, then doing the bad habits you had before become hard because you now have the good habits. And 3, always be selling yourself. Okay, always be realizing that you want to sell yourself. And then 4, understand your target, understand your audience, and understand why people respond to you. Okay, there is a reality that there is too little and there is too much. So you're trying to find someone who you're just right for them, and they're just right for you. Okay, don't be afraid to turn down business. If people are asking too much for too little, don't be afraid to turn them down. The customers oftentimes will give you, who are going to want to pay you the least, are the ones who are going to make you do the most work. Okay, and it's those clients who will prevent you from really maintaining the clients that will give you the best balance. Okay, where you'll be doing good work for them, but they're not going to not compensate you for that work. Because I've seen that as well, where basically people, for fear of losing out on some business, being in fear, leaving money on the table, bend over backwards for a client who's really just kind of playing hardball and really just trying to squeeze everything they can out. Problem is, you end up spending so much time for that client. They're probably also going to be very critical, more critical, and ask you to redo things regularly. That client ends up preventing your ability to provide other clients who are paying you more the kind of value that they deserve. So don't be afraid to say no. Okay? Don't be discouraged when other people say no to you. Okay? But always be selling yourself. Always be realizing that you are your product. So that's why you need to have control of your social media. You want, when other people Google you, you want to have control of what people see. Okay? You don't want other people to paint your story. You want to define yourself before somebody else defines you. Okay? Nothing gets to exist without definition. So if you're not defining yourself, if you're not creating the picture of what people think of you, then somebody else is, and somebody else will. Okay? And also, people just don't want to work so hard to figure out who you are. So you want to make it as easy for them to figure out who you are, which allows you to make the parts that are most important the easiest parts to find. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. Again, do always subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And thank you guys for always listening to all the content that I put out there in the podcast world, in the YouTube world, in all the worlds. I always appreciate it. You can always find me at alexmerced.com in general. That's where you can kind of find a little bit of everything, along with, I think you should be able to find, well, I have two Patreons, one for one for my general Patreon, one for my coding stuff. But you can, in both places, you can find that there. You can find blockchain addresses if you want to contribute blockchain to, as a, because you appreciate what I'm doing, or you want to make a one-time PayPal contribution because you appreciate what I'm doing. You can go do that either at alexmerced.com. There is a Patreon over there at alexmercedcoder.com if you want to support my efforts to, teach the world more coding and technical skills and cool stuff like that. But either way, you support me, I'm going to put out good stuff in the world. I'm going to put out positivity in the world. That's what I'm here to do, regardless what happens. But the support does help. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, from alexmerced.com, and a bajillion other places. You have a great day and enjoy.